Last night, the Heisman finalists were all announced. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud, Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett, Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, and Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. Young is the guy that I think should win the Heisman, which I know is not a controversial opinion, but I still want to make my case for Bryce Young, as there are some people that don't think he deserves it, and some that don't know who they think should win it, so let's get into it. There are two things a quarterback must do to win the Heisman: win games and play really good. Bryce Young has done both of that, leading Alabama to a 12-1 record, winning the SEC championship, and taking them to the playoffs, which I know is not a hard thing to do at Alabama since guys like Blake Sims and Jacob Coker have run games at Bama, but Bryce Young has been the reason for winning games. He has thrown for 4,322 yards, which is 4th best in the NCAA, 43 touchdowns, which is 2nd best in the NCAA. The person leading in passing touchdowns is Bailey Zappe with 56 touchdowns, but he plays in an air raid offense, and teams that go air raid usually don't run a lot. And Bryce Young plays in a pro offense, so I'll just leave it at that. He's only thrown 4 picks, has a 175.4 passer rating, which is 5th best in the NCAA, 9.3 yards per attempt, a 2nd best 8.2 yards per play, and has 9 300-plus yard games. No other quarterback has thrown 4,000-plus yards, 40-plus touchdowns, and less than 5 interceptions this year. The only quarterbacks that has done that since 2010 were Marcus Mariota in 2014 and Mac Jones in 2020. Now, y'all are probably thinking, okay, that's good and all, but Bama only plays cupcakes. Well, yes, their non-conference opponents weren't very good this year, but they still played some tough opponents, and Bryce Young has played well against all of them. Against teams that are currently in the top 25, he's thrown for 1,590 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 175.1 passer rating. Those teams that he played against were number 25 Texas A&M, number 21 Arkansas, number 8 Ole Miss, and number 3 Georgia, who was undefeated at number 1 at the time. Before that game, they had allowed less than 7 points a game, and no quarterback had thrown for 300 yards against them. Bryce Young threw for an SEC championship record 421 yards and 3 touchdowns against them. All these facts should no doubt earn him the Heisman, but people will bring up many things to discredit him, like he lost to Texas A&M and did not play that great for the majority of the Florida, LSU, and Auburn games. And yeah, you're right, those games weren't impressive at all. But what if I told you that the other finalists are flawed as well? C.J. Stroud didn't have a good start to 2021, struggled against Oregon, Tulsa, and Nebraska. And while he did lead his team to a 10-win season, he failed to even lead them to the Big Ten title game. Yes, I know Ohio State's defense was the main reason that happened, but if C.J. Stroud had a better start to this year, this would have been a completely different video. As for Kenny Pickett, he's faced much weaker competition than either Young or Stroud did, as Clemson and Wake Forest were the only teams he faced that are currently in the top 25, and he was also statistically worse than Young and Stroud this year. As for Aiden Hutchinson, I wouldn't say he was flawed. He was dominating this year, but he wasn't dominant enough to make a case for himself. By now, y'all are probably thinking, man, this is such a lame Heisman race. None of these candidates were really that amazing. You're right, this Heisman race was subpar this year, and isn't as exciting as other Heisman races in the past, like in 2020 when Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, and Devontae Smith were all having outstanding seasons, and in 2018 when it was just literally Tua versus Kyler Murray. But this being a weak race shouldn't take away anything from how great Bryce Young was this year, and he 100% deserves this award. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all later.